we know that vitamin D is just key, and almost everybody needs about 10,000 IUs of vitamin D, and usually taking it with K2 because it's going to get it intracellularly. And there are a small number of people who, vitamin D requires a binding protein to get it from the serum into the cell. And you and I talked about this before, is that there are a small number of people who you'll get their serum levels and they'll be super high and the docs will freak out. When we do testing, we look at intracellular levels too. And there's these people with very, very high serum levels, but their intracellular levels are low because they don't have enough of this binding protein to carry the vitamin D into the cells.
The transporter, the GC.
The transport protein, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where there are some people who really, honestly, it's not really a great substitute from sunlight. But the downside being of sunlight is that people, get wrinkles and you burn, and that can be an issue. I mean, you've got pretty dark skin. I've got pretty dark skin. We're a little bit protected, but you have those pale people, they get in the sun, they immediately burn. How are they going to get, vitamin D absorbed? But, but you can use, there's lamps, certain wavelengths of lamps that will give you vitamin D absorption that people can utilize for an hour a day. And so there's other things you can do. I would say everybody needs 10,000 IUs of vitamin D. Taking it with some K2 is ideal. And they make a lot of supplements that have the two together just because you'll get more carried into the cell that way.
Right.
And then if you can get sunlight exposure, get some sunlight exposure, even if it's just a little bit during the daytime hours.
Yep.
Harder as it gets winter here. It's summer for you guys, getting towards summer now for you guys, but we're getting.
Is that why you have more colds and the flu in the winter? Because there's less sunlight?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
People, so it's because we're inside. It's a lot of it has to do with, you look at vitamin D levels in the winter and they go way down. So it is really a key. And I can't emphasize it enough. If you want,
what
get really scared. So vitamin D actually upregulates one of our antimicrobial peptides. So we talk about peptides. Mm-hmm. So there's a peptide that our body makes called LL37.
That's right.
LL37 is a really good antimicrobial peptide. It helps us to fight off infections. So whether that be wounds or viral infections, but our own antimicrobial peptide system is really, and so vitamin D actually upregulates some of our antimicrobial peptides. So it's actually, instead of buying expensive LL37, you can actually take more vitamin D and upregulate your own LL37. So that's one of the ways it really is extremely helpful. And LL37 is a great antiviral agent too. We use that in a lot of viral illnesses. So when you talk about ways to eradicate some of these viruses, LL37 is a way. Well, not everybody can get LL37, so take some vitamin D, make a little bit more of your own, right?
Yep.
So and there's been a huge fear about taking too much vitamin D because there's like, oh, it's fat soluble, you can take too much. Literally, Lisa, the studies have shown that you need to be taking massive amounts to be ever become toxic. So at 10,000, nobody is going to become toxic. You really honestly don't have to worry about it.
That's great, because I've been like on 5,000 and I've now been, a bit scared to go above that.
No, there's nobody who's become toxic on 10,000.
Okay.
It probably takes at least 50,000 IUs taken on a regular basis. And then a few people might become toxic, but it's pretty rare even at that. And I had one patient ever become toxic, and she was taking literally, I think one drop was, it was supposed to be one drop was 5,000 IUs, and this whatever this vitamin D supplement she bought, it was a liquid, and she was doing like 5 dropperfuls a day. She's like, I thought like one dropper full was 1,000, and so she was doing like 5. So she was probably doing like, I don't know, 500,000 IUs a day, and even then, once she started getting nauseous, and we checked her levels, and they were high, and we stopped it, and she was fine. But so don't be afraid of that. Anybody who's darker skin, so African Americans, like people like myself, Mediterranean origin, you tend to have lower vitamin D levels because if you think about it, you were designed to be in the sun all the time, right? So your body did not have to be super efficient to absorbing vitamin D because you spent all day in the sun, and so you got plenty of it. So now that we're not sitting out in the sun all day, we weren't meant to be inside people. We were meant to be in the sun. People from Norwegian ancestries, things like that, their bodies got a little more efficient because they weren't in the sun all the time. So they got, they don't need nearly as much sun to get it. Right. So if you're a darker skinned person, your likelihood of having low levels is much higher,
Yeah. I mean, and we do this in our DNA testing as vitamin D, your transporter genes and
right, exactly. So you can look at that. Yeah.
So I know that we're
poor. So people who then are, you're going to either need more or you're going to not be able to get it orally. So those are the people too, or sometimes you stay out,
get out in the sun.
Genetics and say you need to get it from sun. Yeah.
Yeah.